If I may have your attention, please. At this time, we're going to begin the funeral services here in our chapel for Mrs. Evelyn Goldberg. As we begin the service, I would ask if any of you has a phone or any other noise-making machines, please turn them off at this time. Officiating the service here is Rabbi Nancy Landsman, and the rabbi will begin the service performing the ancient tradition of Kriya. If I could ask the family members wearing ribbons to please stand at this time.
We know that everyone's hearts are torn as we say goodbye to Evelyn. I understand some of you called her Evelyn, and many of you called her Evie. So whatever you called her, I'm sorry I did not have the privilege to meet her or to know her. I'm so grateful to her family taking the time to share their memories of her. She seemed like an incredible woman. We know, as I said, that everyone's hearts are torn as we say goodbye to her, and there is this tradition that direct mourners either can make a tear in their clothing or in this black Kriya ribbon that has been provided. In a moment, I'll ask the three of you, you are the three children, to make a tear to symbolize how your hearts are torn. It's only children who wear this Kriya ribbon on the left side over the heart because there is no bond as unique and special as that between parent and child. There are traditional Hebrew words that are said before making a tear in the ribbon, and I invite the three of you to repeat these words after me. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Dayan Ha-Emet. These words mean, praised are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, judge of truth. From the bottom of the ribbon up towards that circular button, you can tear it a little, you can tear it as far up towards that circular button as you would like. Sometimes these ribbons tear easily, and sometimes they're a little stubborn. Rhonda, looks like yours might be, you got it. You can choose to wear this Kriya ribbon only today. You can choose to wear the ribbon only today or the first week of mourning, or you can choose to wear it for the period of Shloshim, 30 days. You also have a choice to wear the ribbon tucked in the inside, or you can wear it on the outside for others to see. Whatever gives meaning to you, I would recommend that you do that, and know that our hearts go out especially to the three of you. Please be seated. In learning about Evie, I've selected a few readings and poems that I felt were fitting for her and for her beautiful family. Unfortunately, the author of this first poem is unknown. The poem is entitled, A Life Well Lived. A life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace from someone who has made our world a brighter, better place. It's filled with moments sweet and sad, with smiles and sometimes tears, with friendships formed and good times shared, and laughter through the years. A life well lived is a legacy of joy and pride and pleasure. A living, lasting memory our grateful hearts will treasure. Evelyn lived a long, full life. And of all the things that she did and accomplished in her life, I got the sense from her family what she loved most and was so proud of was being a mother. There's this beautiful poem from Michael Adesanya entitled A Mother's Love. There are times only when a mother's love can understand our tears, can soothe our disappointments, and calm all our fears. There are times when only a mother's love can share the joy we feel when something we've dreamed about quite suddenly is real. There are times when only a mother's faith can help on life's way and inspire in us the confidence we need from day to day. For a mother's heart and a mother's faith and a mother's steadfast love were fashioned by the angels and sent from God above. No matter how many years a person has been granted, 95 years, whether it's longer or shorter, when we gather here for this final farewell, it's difficult, especially when it's somebody we love so very much. We still want more time. We all understand intellectually that none of us will live forever. And so at times such as this, we look for comfort. And we often find comfort when turning to the book of Psalms. Psalm 121. Esa enai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. I will lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. From whence shall my help come? My help cometh from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel doth neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall keep thee from all evil. He shall keep thy soul. The Lord shall guard thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and forever. In your service folders, you find the 23rd Psalm, a psalm that I think speaks to all of us, regardless of our faith. So I'd like to invite all of you to join with me. If you did not receive a service folder, you can find them outside the chapel by the entrance to the funeral home or from anyone here on the staff. Let's join together. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Evie was blessed with a very large family, a loving family who cared deeply for her. You each have had your own relationships with her. And there's this beautiful poem that an unknown author wrote about how when we have such love, unconditional love from family members, it's really one of the best gifts we can ever have. The poem is actually entitled, The Greatest Gift. One of the greatest gifts that life can give to anyone is the very special love that families share. As years go by, it's good to know that there will always be certain people in our lives who care. For there are countless things that only families have in common, and memories that no one else can make. And these precious ties that bind a family together are bonds that time and distance cannot break. How fortunate we are when we have relatives to love us. It makes the world a happy place to be. Few gifts in life will last as long or touch the heart as deeply as the very special gift of family. Representing the family, it's my great honor to call upon Evie's son-in-law, Roger, to come forward and offer some words.
I got to make sure this is the right pair of glasses. Growing up, Evie had lasting friendships with a group of girls, starting in grade school, continuing through high school and beyond. They are known as the Femmes. I have no idea what that was. As a teenager, she spent many hours of school helping her mother in the family's children's clothing store. This was the beginning of a long, outstanding work ethic. Evie was always hardworking, a dedicated worker, but being a loving mom was the most important thing to her. And Grandma. I first met Evie in 1976 when I started working for Callaghan Co, a small family-owned company where Evie had already worked there a number of years. It was one of those companies where every employee had relatives working at it. Evie's family was no exception. Her sons Steve and David at one point in time also worked there. So it was only a matter of time that her daughter started working there. Daughter Rhonda, soon to be my future wife. Evie was always a nicely dressed person, whereas I, on the other hand, wore jeans and flannel shirts. So I don't really know how she initially felt about me dating her daughter. And at first, Evie and I really didn't have much job-to-job work contact. But over time, I rose to a management position, and then the need arose. Among her many job functions over the years was maintaining compliance with SOPs. If you don't know what that's standard operation procedures, that's an organizational approach that emanated from World War II and the Army, and then private companies started adopting it in the early 70s. And I still even remember that a lot of the departments had these green metal trays that were obviously Army surplus. In any event, the time came when Evie and I had to meet on a subject. She had to approach me about a certain SOP that she was in charge of. I looked at it and I said, "This is really stupid." She paused, then she whispered, "I know, but it's my job and I need you to do it." So I said, okay. Eventually, Rhonda and I got married. Maybe there was some SOP that required it. Evie continued working at Callaghan, holding a variety of positions until she ultimately retired. Everyone there I know always appreciated her contributions in the different departments. Evie always had a fashionable sense of style, and she also had her own colors, at least in my opinion, which were basically red, white, and black. She was meticulous in taking care of her home as well. And, of course, she would always dress up for any occasion, whether it's a night going out on the town or just heading to the grocery store. As I mentioned earlier, she always worked hard and played hard. She exercised frequently to stay fit. Once while babysitting the young grandkids, Rachel and Russell, my kids, rather than playing a game with them, she did her exercises in front of them. Much to our surprise, they found it entertaining and funny and still tell the story today. So that's a number of the stories about Evie that live on. Her granddaughter Rachel remembers that every August when she is about junior high age, Grandma Evie would take her shopping for clothes when Nordstrom's would have their annual back-to-school sale. And as many of you know, Evie was well known for amazing cooking, and she made and hosted many of the family holiday dinners. Even though she knew the grandkids would probably mess up her place, but she loved seeing her grandkids. Grandson Michael remembers especially Passover when they would play hide the matzah. Brisket and matzo ball soup was Evie's specialty for many of the holiday meals. Her grandson Russell always viewed her brisket as being the best because it was flavorful and juicy. And I'll point out in recent years, Russell has been carrying on the tradition. He makes the brisket himself now for us. Granddaughter Rachel remembers the tasty Jell-O mold, as do I. I was not fond of brisket, so I had about 8 scoops of Jell-O mold. A favorite meal of grandson Michael was her homemade pizza bagels. Granddaughter Lindsay was usually in charge of herding all the kids because she was pretty good at that, and she would also help out with the youngest ones. All of them remember that she always kept books, crayons, and toys around for them. Evie loved to dance, and I'll add somewhat party. Her favorite song during some of the decades was Gloria. At her wedding to Bud, when there was a late-in-life wedding, she had the band play that song multiple times, as we all remember, so she could dance to it. Evie was a pretty woman. I know my own mother and father and my siblings said that often. In one of her early pictures, I always thought that she looked like a late 1940s movie star. And I think that's in the gold frame over there. Maybe it was Rhonda Fleming, but my wife Rhonda was named after Rhonda Fleming, so who knows? That one we'll never figure out. How she stayed fit is beyond us because she often would finish dinner with a half a gallon of ice cream. And even in her later years, after the nighttime meals, she would ask for a chocolate Dove bar. Evie liked going out to weekly breakfast meals with her husband Bud at the Continental Restaurant in Buffalo Grove. So tell them I gave them a free plug here. Similarly, when grandson Russell graduated from college and before he got his first job, he and Evie would go out for lunch once a week, and of course at Continental. Being the grandma that she was, she would give him pep talks about how to look for a job and how to be positive when he's looking at all her various tips. The owners knew both of them by name pretty soon. In her retirement, Evie became a snowbird, spending her winters with her husband Bud at their Florida condo. She enjoyed spending time meeting with new friends and engaging in fun activities. And you probably by now see there's a very common theme here with Evie. She worked hard, she played hard, she loved her family, she liked making friends, she liked doing new things. Evie was always kind to others. She loved her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. She had a lot of energy and even enjoyed the activities and the people at her assisted living facility where she spent the last few years. Evie would love to play and learn new games and had FOMO, a new term I just learned, which is the fear of missing out. She didn't want to miss out on anything, was always trying to keep on top of everything that was going on so she could be a part of it. She was a social butterfly. She was unofficially the leader of the welcoming committee at the residence. In her retirement years, Evie loved playing Mahjong, Rummy Cube, enjoyed watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. There are a lot of interesting things about Evie, but one of the interesting things about her is she never lost her pride in having worked at Callaghan for so many years. And as recently as 6 months ago, she would still bring it up and we'd talk about the old times working at Callaghan and Company. Sometimes the good things, other times the bad things. When she was only 17, her father passed away. But another recurring thing with Evie was, and she told us, this is probably no more than a month ago, she'd always keep saying, I wish you would have met my father. I think to agree, we all wish we could have met him. Evie kept her sense of humor, even towards the end. It was only several weeks ago that a health worker entered her room, and Evie said, have you met my son-in-law? He's a good guy. I would tell you that I love him, but then you and everyone else around here would think I'm weird. She laughed, and then I think she just went to sleep again after that. Evie's daughter stayed with Rhonda constantly for a number of months, with only occasional breaks during these last few months of Evie's illness. On behalf of Evie, her family, friends, and some health care workers, I think we all appreciated Rhonda's extreme dedication to help assure Evie got the correct care and a peaceful transition. So thank you, Rhonda. One last word. There's a line from an Eagles song, we who must remain go on living just the same. I think that's only partially true, because although you've lost the person from your life, the way you can kind of keep it the same is you keep them alive through the memories and the stories you tell about them. Thank you.
So beautiful, and those words are so true. I always say to keep someone's memory alive. Many of us believe that the soul of an individual, the spirit of an individual, can live on eternally by sharing the stories, as Roger said, to keep speaking about her. If we stop talking about Evie, then she will be gone. So as long as we're all alive to share the stories beyond today, beyond the first week of mourning or the period of Shloshim, 30 days, as long as you are still here, keep her memory alive by sharing your stories. As I told the family when we met, I'd like to have those in the family planning to speak before I do, and I'll fill in whatever blanks might be left. Well, I have to say I have a whole page of notes, and there aren't too many more stories to share with you, maybe a couple, and also some worth, I think, repeating. She was truly a loving daughter, an only child to Isidore and Tilly. She had such a close relationship, especially with her mother. She was fairly young, 17, when her father died. So she took great care of her mother, and her mother was apparently a wonderful role model to teach Evie how to be a loving person, a loving daughter, how to be a loving mother. And so that was really, really important to Evie as she became a mother and a grandmother. And for those of us who are parents and working parents, we know how hard it is to raise children and also be that sandwich generation where we have parents still to take care of. And that was what happened to Evie. And she was raising her kids, and yet she was there to take care of her mother. And so she also was a wonderful role model. It was so important to her, for her children to learn how to be caring and loving. These were the adjectives that came up in the meeting with the family, where in describing Evie, that she was so thoughtful and kind, caring, and supportive. Being an only child may have been difficult for her, but the fact that she lived so close to many of her cousins, they became like siblings. We have some of her cousins here today. Anyone? Okay. Or the relatives of the cousins, the children of the cousins? Yeah? No. Okay. Well, when she was growing up, she had that luxury of having cousins close by. She was someone that was really detail-oriented. She was very efficient, always on top of everything. In her home, everything had its place. That may have been challenging for children raising up in that kind of atmosphere, but it taught them certainly some discipline. And she had this wonderful, she could have been an interior decorator. Her home was just beautifully designed. She was someone who really loved to travel. There were some memories that were shared, trips that were taken to California, to Washington, D.C., going on cruises, and certainly, as Roger spoke about, going with Bud every year to Florida. She certainly loved that. Great time was spent in our meeting speaking about Evie being a grandmother. And for those of us who are grandparents, we know that there's nothing like being a grandparent. And for her to be such a presence in her grandchildren's lives and their memories, of which we heard some certainly from Roger, but the puppet shows and going to movies and doing puzzles with her and playing Uno, having the kids over, her grandkids over to her condo where there was a swimming pool and they would go swimming, a variety of activities, coloring, always having what the grandkids really enjoyed and loved. And that says something about who she was. She always remembered your birthdays. She kept in touch with family. If she didn't keep in touch with you directly, she asked other family members, so how's so-and-so? What's going on? Always wanting updates. She eventually did have a dog. I understand the dog's name was Princess. She loved this dog. And she loved when therapy dogs were brought in where she lived at Sunrise or wherever she was, she would just light up. She loved dogs. So in addition to everything that Roger shared, I hope that you will always cherish your memories of family gatherings together, especially for the holidays. Remember her delicious brisket and her chicken matzo ball soup and her veal cutlets and her meatloaf and the pizza bagels. And I didn't know about the Jell-O. I just heard about that now. So whatever it is that she made that you enjoyed or puts a smile on your heart, I hope that you'll always cherish those memories and to know that each one of you who were a part of her life, you made a difference in her life, and she in some way impacted your life. And that's truly a blessing. and to have the love and care, especially from Rhonda, who was able to be there to take care of her medical, her social, emotional needs. Something that was just so important, I know, to you, Rhonda. You shared that with me. And also, you know, how I'm sure it was greatly appreciated by Evelyn. So cherish your memories so that you will be able to speak about them for as long as you are here, so that you can keep Evie's spirit, her soul alive, l'dor vador, from generation to generation. She was truly one of a kind and a loving mother, certainly to David, and mother-in-law to Minetta, and to Steve, and to, of course, Rhonda and Roger. She truly lived an incredible life. So let's be grateful for those years. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the memory of the righteous is forever a blessing. And to that we say, Amen. David Harkins wrote, "You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she'll come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she's left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty, and turn your back. Or you can do what she would want. Smile. Open your eyes. Love. And go on." I invite you to turn once again to your service folder. Underneath the 23rd Psalm, you find El Malei Rachamim. It is traditional to conclude in the chapel with this prayer, and for those going to the cemetery, we will be using the service folders again for the mourner's Kaddish, which is traditionally recited at the grave. So it is customary to rise for El Malei Rachamim. If you are able to rise, I invite you to please rise. El Malei Rachamim shochein b'mromim Hamsei menucha tachat kanfei hashchina im kedoshim utorim kizoar arakia mahazirim et nishmat Evelyn Goldberg shalecha leolama ba'al harachamim yastiri abeseter kinafecha leolamim Bitzror hachayim et nishmata Adonai unachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen. Let us read the translation of El Malei Rachamim together. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Evelyn Goldberg, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring her under the cover of thy wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may her repose be peace. Amen.
This concludes the service here at our chapel. The interment will take place immediately at the family's plots at Waldheim Jewish Cemetery, 1700 South Harlem in Forest Park. Following the interment, the family invites you to join them at a luncheon at Connie's Restaurant, 3271 South Harlem Avenue in Berwyn. That information's on the inside portion of the funeral service folder you should have received. If you did not receive one, they are available as you depart today. I'd also like you to please take note in the service folder. The family has asked that memorial contributions be made to the JUF, the Jewish United Fund. That information appears as well. For those of you watching the service online, that information's on the website you're currently on. For those of you going in procession with the family, the procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please make sure you have an orange funeral safety sticker. That sticker should be placed in the front passenger side of your windshield. We would also ask you to please have your bright headlights and flashing hazard lights on at all times. For an additional measure of safety, our staff will be placing magnetic flags on the cars throughout the procession. We will be driving on the highway today. We'll be We'll be driving on surface streets today to the cemetery. As we drive in the cemetery procession, please drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you at all times. We want to avoid any large spaces or large gaps in the procession, particularly as we pass through the intersections. The following individuals have been selected to act as pallbearers: Rachel, Russell, Roger, Lindsay, Miles, and Macy. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise as the deceased, her family, and rabbi are escorted from the chapel. Pallbearers, please step forward. Pallbearers, you can on this side, please. Pallbearers, we're going to follow behind. Just 2 by 2, follow behind.